world surrounded by franchises, reboots, and shared universes. An elite team of podcasters will risk body and soul to investigate the depths of intellectual properties, one multiverse, subgenre, and trend at a time. Who are we? We're the IP Squad.
Welcome back to the IP Squad, our ongoing investigation into the Universal Soldier franchise. I'm John Campbell. My partner for this investigation, Michael Lissman.
It's me.
And that's the voice he's chosen for this.
Sorry, it's my allergies.
Oh, my glasses. My glasses.
I'm allergic to bullshit.
Well, that's why we had to briefly take you to the hospital after this. Yeah.
Yeah.
You had to hit an EpiPen to get over the bullshit that's in this. Boy, folks, we're it's Universal Soldier: The Return. I'll just say, yeah,
we did return to this franchise.
We did.
Even after the last two films, we thought, you know what, we will finish out this franchise.
We're definitely, I feel like, over the hump of the garbage and getting back into the movies people like.
I thought we already got there. I thought today was going to be like, oh well, you know, Jean-Claude Van Damme's back, so it's going to be pretty good.
Well, everything in the promotion of this one, everything in the whole idea here was like, hey, you know, some people did a stupid thing with this movie you like, but don't worry, folks, we're getting back to where you want it to be, and this is the movie they made. And this is
the movie, yeah.
Spoiler alert, I think they failed.
I think they, yeah. The fact that there's more movies in this franchise after this movie is legitimately shocking to me.
I think it goes back to the first episode we did about this, where I think we just forget how successful that first movie was. That people still are like, no, there's money here.
Yeah.
It's still recognizable enough.
Yes. You hear the name Universal Soldier, you're like, I've heard of that. Even if you haven't seen it, you're like, that sounds like it's a thing.
It's in the realm of Terminator, RoboCop. I mean, I will say it's another 10 years before they make another one. Yeah, so, you know, it's not like it's right around the corner. Nobody was jumping on this right after this.
Well, because this is... How long was it between the third movie and this movie?
That's a good question. Let me see here. Because this is, like I said, this is 99.
Because 2 and 3 were filmed together. And that was like mid-9... Of course. Because it's out of continuity, IMDb doesn't actually list it as part of the franchise. Oh, wow.
Which is... Although this also will be erased from continuity, as I said. Which is really weird.
Rebooting it twice is crazy. We're not even rebooting it because the first movie always is canon.
Yes. I said that I think the closest comparison would be the Halloween franchise.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is only a year after. That was 98.
Okay. So
and basically...
So this movie shouldn't really have been made, is what was really...
So let's get into how this movie came to be.
Yes.
The reason this movie existed was because the rights reverted back to the original producer.
Oh, no.
So that was what... So this was like, okay, finally... This guy, the guy, let's see, I have his name here somewhere.
You think he'd have all of these, if like the IP was taken away from him, you think he'd have all these ideas of what he'd...
Well, because we talked about Carolco on the first movie, which produced the first movie, and they did like Total Recall and like a lot of the Arnold stuff.
Yeah.
Well, they did Universal Soldier, but then subsequently went bankrupt. Mm-hmm. And so the rights to all their movies kind of ended up all over the place. There's also a really shitty straight-to-video Total Recall sequel.
Oh, no.
Yeah, nobody talks about that.
That sounds awful.
That doesn't exist. Yeah. I've only seen pieces of it. I
don't recall that at all, John.
That's what they want. They want you to remember. You also don't remember when you went to Mars.
Yeah.
So this guy, Craig Baumgartner, had been trying to make a sequel, but couldn't get the rights because they had been sold off. Then when those movies happened, and I guess due to the lack of interest in those, they were like, fine, here, take the rights. Who gives a shit?
Yeah.
Here's the reason why it's something you were saying before we started recording here is you're like, man, it's almost like they didn't see the other one. That's because this script didn't start as Universal Soldier movie.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I should have guessed.
They took a script, a science fiction script they had, and slapped Universal Soldier on it.
Wait, wasn't the first Universal Soldier supposed to be something else besides?
I think that was one of the second or third ones like that. We've run into this before.
I can't remember.
But yeah, John Fassino and William Malone are the credited screenwriters on this. Malone. Oh Jesus, William Malone has some bad credits. This guy also subsequently wrote 2000 Supernova, which is a terrible space movie.
Malone.
What is this guy? He's directed a bunch of. He directed Fear.com and the House on Haunted Hill remake, which is awful.
Oh yeah.
He's a Tales from the Crypt guy. I like Tales from the Crypt, but
sure.
Anyway, it's a sort of a B horror guy. And then let's look at John Fassino. He's done some better stuff. He might have been the original writer, because he wrote. Let me see if I can just write. No, he didn't write that much great stuff. Now that I look at it here. Anyway, he wrote another 48 Hours. Everyone's favorite. What's interesting, though, is he wrote on a show called Profiler, which starred Ali Walker, who was the female lead in the first Universal Soldier, and due to the production of that show, couldn't be in this movie.
Oh, okay. I was wondering why she didn't come back.
She had her own show.
I thought she was making a principled stand against.
Well, I mean, it may have been like a thank God I can't, but she did have her own network detective series at this point. That was, she has gone on to do other stuff. Because she's not in this movie, and they made maybe the worst choice of how to.
Yes.
They killed her off screen and then just brought in a different character who was basically exactly like her.
It's just the exact same.
Yeah.
Just cast a different actor in that role. Don't do the same plot. I hate when movies, like the first film, it's mostly about these two characters getting back together. Why does the second one have to be either them getting back together again or why is it the same plot? I don't understand why. Just have it be the wife. I don't understand why it couldn't just have been the wife.
Yeah. Or if you're going to kill her off, then that's the end of it. He doesn't have
Don't introduce somebody who's just the same but different. That's weird.
Yeah.
That's weird.
It's very weird. It's a very, very weird choice. Yeah. Or, I mean, I'll say actually maybe the most interesting choice would have been if you had made the other Universal Soldier his love interest.
Yeah.
Because that would have at least been a totally different dynamic.
Yes. Yeah, that would be interesting.
And I thought initially when they introduced them that was where this was going.
Yes.
But then the second a new reporter showed up, I said that, I'm like, oh, he's going to fall in love with her. I said kind of jokingly. And then it fucking happened.
I jokingly suggested that she should have been a secret villain, but I think I was giving the creators of this film too much credit, because even they couldn't even think of that as an interesting diversion of what had already been created.
Let's talk about the creators. We mentioned the writers, but I want to talk about this director, Mick Rogers. Mick Rogers. This is his first and to this point last directorial effort.
One and done.
But here's the thing, and the reason he got this is you're like, how would this guy was and continues to this day to be a highly revered stunt coordinator, like one of the best top guys in the world of stunts.
But the action,
and subsequently was also second unit director and all that stuff, which is an obvious sort of a jump a lot.
No, but that's so strange because this movie did a lot of what, and maybe it's just because it was the 90s
and money. I mean,
but it does the thing that movies do when they don't really have the right,
So this guy spent a long time specifically as Mel Gibson's stunt double in a ton of all the Lethal Weapons and Braveheart and Maverick.
What Women Want.
I got to see if he actually is credited on What Women Want.
Chicken Run.
He did the stunts for that animated movie. He worked on actually I will say he worked on basically every Mel Gibson movie except What Women Want.
Okay.
Up to and including Hacksaw Ridge.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I mean, so they've stayed, but I mean, this guy worked as a stunt guy on Django Unchained and some of the Marvel movies and some of the Transformer movies.
There's so much editing around the action.
Yeah.
It's so the camera is so close, like you were saying. It's hard to really get a sense of anyone doing any moves.
He's one of the stunt people on Flight Risk, which, as of the recording of this, is coming out soon, which is Mel Gibson's new directorial effort. So
they're still
there. Okay. That's his guy, man.
All right. I don't understand.
Yeah, I mean, he did stunts on the Westworld TV show. I mean, like I said, this guy is a big deal stunt guy. Yeah.
So I don't.
Did the Iron Man movies and
I'm confused, John.
I mean, look, we can't blame the script on him, but yeah, it's not well directed, and I know it doesn't have money, but yeah, as you're talking about, it's not. The editing is particularly bad. I mean,
maybe that's a studio thing.
It could be. I mean, I feel like the idea that this movie clocks in at 83 minutes. Something tells me this wasn't designed to be 83 minutes.
Probably not. No,
they chopped this thing down like nobody's business.
It's not the worst chop job I've ever seen.
Oh Lord, no.
But it's up there.
Yeah, I don't have any notes specifically about that, but I also don't think a lot of people talked about this movie.
Yeah, that's kind of the problem with a lot of these films is that they leave such little of a mark on culture that it's hard to talk about them if you're not there when they're being made. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So it's like it feels like you're uncovering something.
So here's an interesting fact though. Originally, William Malone, who I mentioned as one of the writers of this, was supposed to also direct it, but left just before the start of shooting due to creative differences with the producers. So also keep that in mind. Mick Rogers was brought in like days before they were set to shoot.
Okay, this is starting to make sense.
That makes a little bit more sense.
Yeah.
Maybe if this guy and being an inexperienced director, it also probably, even if he knows stunts, I can't imagine he had a lot of top talent helping him on this thing.
Yeah. So it's probably, again, this is all speculation, but it was probably producers sort of pushing him around as far as the movie being short, being like, whatever, blah, 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 including Goldberg for some reason. This all makes sense.
I want you to guess the budget of this movie as we used to do.
Okay.
And I'll just say this. It's more than what you're thinking. It's a lot more than it should cost. I'll say that.
I was about to say like $5 million.
Oh, way more than that.
Okay, so I'm going to say like $32 million.
That's it. Had it 45.
45?
Where did that money go?
Where did it go?
That money went up some producer's nose, man.
Was it the one explosion at the end? Oh no, you're right. Yeah, that's true. The producers were just paying themselves, basically.
I mean, that is not a $45 million.
No.
And that's certainly more in 1999 money.
Sure.
$45 million.
That's crazy.
It made 10. $10.6 million.
That's, for considering what we just saw, if you think about it, that's a lot.
Well, the whole time I was watching, because this is one where I'm like, because this is so forgotten by the franchise, I'd never seen the ones we did. I've only seen what is now essentially the trilogy of the first one and then the last two.
Yeah.
So it's possible I've seen this one like on cable, but I don't really remember it.
Because it's so forgettable.
That's what I mean. Yeah. And like I said, nobody talks about it in the context of this franchise. It's always that other one that Van Damme was in that doesn't count.
Yeah.
According to I like that in the IMDb, they talk about the failure of this led to not only them erasing this, but actively contradicting it in the future. None of that happened.
But what is this really introducing?
I mean, I think the daughter would be a big thing to contradict, right?
Yeah.
And I don't remember how the reporter is addressed.
I don't know.
Like if that continues. I mean, she's not in any of them, but I don't know if it's even mentioned that they were married, like in this.
But which reporter are we talking about here?
Either one. I don't think either one is. I don't remember. Like Luke, obviously Luke Devereaux continues to be our hero in these movies, but I think going forward, he's not a
family man.
No, I mean, I will say right off the bat, this movie I was so confused.
Yes,
we start with somewhat recently, I guess, widowed. I don't know. They don't actually. The daughter's obviously still processing it because you have the amazing line of, Dad, why did Mommy have to die? I thought she was going to say, why did Mommy leave? Because that would be a question about why. But why did Mommy have to die? She's also pretty old to be talking like that.
Yes, she's 14, 15.
Somewhere in that range. We were trying to figure this out because the movie, this is 99, the first one was 92, so this is only 7 years in reality.
Right.
But at least 12 to 15 years have passed in story time, which is... This is a Mummy Returns level of, like, why?
Why? Yeah.
I never understand. I'm still baffled by that decision and this one.
Yeah.
Because, all of a sudden we have widowed single father Luke Devereaux, who also works like a 9-to-5 job at Universal Soldier.
Yeah, that's what confused me, is that he came back to the program after fighting it the entire first film. And they explain nothing about why.
There's some like loose lip service from Xander Berkeley, who is probably the best actor in this thing and is out of it within 10 minutes.
Yeah, I'm not ultimately surprised he was out of it for
But the fact that like the opening credits are like, and Xander Berkeley, who's not like a big star, but he's certainly a well-established character actor.
He's a working actor.
He's on 24. He's in Air Force One. He's in the Taken movies.
Right.
Like he's once again a well-known and a face you've seen in a million things.
Yeah.
So and he gets the "and" credit here, and then I was like, oh, he's dead. Okay. But anyway, he gets some offhanded lines about like, oh yeah, well we've improved the program. But it's really vague.
But if Luke Devereaux came back to the program to fix it in that way, then that could be something. But again,
I think that's what it's supposed to be. But the movie
doesn't deliver it.
No,
he doesn't talk about it at all.
And what's so funny is this idea that he came back to the program and so presumably it's been fixed, but then immediately they're shutting the program down in like the first scene.
Yes.
You have General Mr. Kruger from Seinfeld. I'll say what that guy's real name is. Justin Lazard. Is that him?
I think so.
I think that's him.
I'm going to assume so. And we don't need to fact check it.
Well, he plays Captain Blackburn. That seems like who that character was.
Yeah.
Anyway, I don't think that is him actually. I'll get his name here in a second. But anyway, I know him as Mr. Kruger from Seinfeld.
Yeah.
Daniel von Bargen is his name. That's a bargain actor. Yeah. Anyway, he's also a guy though who's been in a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Anyway, so he he comes up and he's just like. And this continues our trend of not understanding how Universal Soldier is funded because he's a military. Let's see, do they give his rank here?
Seemed like
he's General Radford.
Okay, he's a general.
He's a general, and he's like, look, we've spent by we. I'm assuming he means the government or the military.
Sure.
We've spent so much money on this, and we're just not getting enough out of this Universal Soldier program. And Devereaux says something about like, look, these Universal Soldiers, they make the real soldiers look like crap or whatever,
But so it's okay. So the idea is to like, oh my god, the idea is to like boost the military complex. Is that like what is the real goal? Like what is the?
Well, in the first movie they talked about the idea is. That then no one would die on the battlefield, right? We're finding a way to revive soldiers.
Yeah. So why not reiterate that in this movie?
Yeah. I mean, because like that's the thing always, I feel like I say this a lot on Meet the Monsters in Frankenstein movies, this idea about like, my God, if you've cracked how to bring something back to life, holy shit, that's a fundamental shift in
society.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not just in the military.
Yeah.
It would be in everything.
But it's one of those things where it's like, you found a way to revive the dead.
Yes.
And your first thought is, let's send them out on missions. What? Number one, that's billions for the medical industry.
Yeah.
It's incredible to me the way that it is so casually tossed off that these people have cured death.
Yes.
And in this movie, these new generation are seemingly impervious to damage.
Yeah, there's like, you see a flesh wound. Goldberg is shot with a shotgun in the chest, point blank.
But then he's fine.
Well, they did like a
quote unquote medical procedure
right.
to reverse that damage. But like, he was fine, you know.
Well, I mean, the opening of the movie is insane because this movie does start with a jet ski chase.
Yes.
Which is nuts.
It just gets right into it.
This is one of those, it's a classic action movie opening sequence of you watch a crazy mission only to find out it's a training exercise.
Yeah,
Except
like,
the more I think about
Never
this.
Say Never Again did that.
Yeah. Actually, a few Bond movies do it.
That's true.
Living Daylights also starts like that too.
Yeah.
A lot of them love that. I mean, For Much With Love starts like that with the bad guys doing a training mission where Red Grant kills Bond.
Yeah.
You poked the barrel when you said you brought up Bond. What is it? I said this on another show we were doing the other day. I'm like, if Bond, Batman, or Star Trek come up, get ready because that podcast is about to get derailed. But those are the three that will always be like, well, let me tell you. No, but yes, but it's similar to a lot of those. You're like, this was a training operation?
Yeah, they're literally shooting each other. Well, I guess they're crashing boats. You know, potentially almost ripping someone.
Well, that was nuts. And I guess that's supposed to be our tip-off that maybe Goldberg is a bad guy.
But nobody thought it was weird, except for us in the audience.
Well, except for her. She's the only one who says, hey, you went a little far on that.
Which I guess that could be a commentary on, you know.
Yeah. This is Kiana Tom is playing Maggie.
Right.
Something funny about Maggie, the Universal Soldier. There's her and one other woman.
We should also reference that she's in this. There is another female.
Who I don't think has any lines.
No. But yeah, so she's in this. She's not an actor. This is her only film.
Her only film role, and then she did a couple of TV things.
Kind of playing herself, right?
Or some version of herself.
Yeah.
I mean, she really didn't seem to take to acting, but she was a big time fitness, like she did like fitness tapes and stuff.
Yeah, which I was so disappointed to find out she wasn't, because she right off the bat not a great actor. So I'm like, well, then clearly they put her in so that because of her martial arts, because why else put somebody in an action film?
Instead they just went and got somebody really, really fit, not somebody with actual skill. Even though we pointed out Cynthia Rothrock or any number of martial. We know tons of female martial artists that could have done this.
Yeah,
this was way beneath Michelle Yeoh, but at least I don't know where Maggie Q was at this point in her career.
Yeah,
this could have been an early thing for her.
Maggie Q playing Maggie.
Yeah. Wouldn't even it'd be a Tony Danza situation.
I really thought this was going to be this character was going to be the new romantic interest. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and it's like you said, you know, like
because they're in this it's Van Damme and her being chased by everybody else.
Yeah.
So they're already linked, and it's really interesting as I'm thinking back on the movie now how much she drops out of the movie at a certain point.
Like, why introduce her at all?
Because they're like a duo. It's like the two of them and then everybody else in the universe.
And then as soon as the other female character's introduced, she's taken out of the film.
She goes off with Van Damme's daughter and then is just sidelined until she has to turn evil and then turn good.
But also, and that also brings up another point. Why is Van Damme's daughter in this at all? It does seem like decisions are just being made just because.
Well, the daughter's only there so Michael Jai White can threaten her at the end of the movie, right?
It could
have been anyone,
a romantic partner, threaten the wife that he already has. Like, I don't understand.
Well, and Michael Jai White's whole part in this movie we'll get into.
It's so tragic. We love Michael Jai White.
Oh, I mean, if you were an Action Shelf listener, you know how much we love Michael Jai White.
I mean, I'm glad he's like a big part, but like so wasted.
Well, because he plays this complete machine.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, the kind of role that Lundgren can do.
Yes.
Because Lundgren can just be sort of a guy like this.
But like, even Goldberg has personality.
Actually, Michael Jai White would have maybe been better in the Goldberg.
Right?
He would have brought more to it.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you something that will not surprise you at all. Goldberg was not the first choice for this part.
What?
This part was specifically written for a different WWE superstar.
Undertaker?
Oh no, a guy we're very familiar with. Stone Cold Steve Austin. And actually, you know what? He would have been better.
Is it bad that
We kind of like Steve Austin.
Is it bad that when I was younger, I just assumed they were the same person?
Well, I will say they have very similar looks.
Yeah.
They're both big, burly, bald guys with beards, right? Like,
yeah.
But I gotta say, we kind of like Steve Austin.
I mean, I like him more than this.
Well, because he's got some level of personality.
Yeah.
He's got some of that southern sort of thing.
Yeah, he's got like this simple southern country sort of charm kind of a thing going. Whereas Goldberg is just like,
so boring, just so guy like that. Yeah, that's right. Steve Austin can deliver a line. You know, he's not a great actor, but from fighting. And I like he's pretty good in the Expendables. They couldn't afford Steve Austin.
God, if that doesn't tell you everything about this.
They offered him $55,000.
Okay. He's like, no.
I mean, I'm sure he was like, I make a lot more than that doing WWE Monday Night Raw. Or whatever, my God. Yeah. Anyway, so they just, I like the idea that just like, Steve Austin said no, and they crossed him and went down the list of WWE people.
Okay, if only there was another giant bald man.
Hey, this guy looks a lot like Steve Austin.
What if we just said it was
And
Steve
he said
Austin?
he'll take anything. He's not good in this.
No.
I also love, in terms of wrestling names, that Bill Goldberg's wrestling name is Goldberg.
It's pretty bad.
Yeah.
It's not great.
Yeah.
So is that his actual name, Bill Goldberg?
His name is Bill Goldberg.
And that's all he could think of? Is just get rid of his first name?
Well, it's an interesting... I heard John Cena talk about this, and it's interesting, though, because Goldberg would have been before this, but the era John Cena came up in, you did just start going by... Like, John Cena's wrestling name is just John Cena.
Yeah.
You know, and Shawn Michaels, and like a lot of the more modern wrestlers have stopped doing... But even like Steve Austin, his name is Steve Austin, but he was Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Yeah.
You know,
but this isn't even quite the same because it's not Bill.
It's just
Goldberg. It's just Goldberg.
It's just Goldberg.
Yeah,
yeah. If he was Bill Goldberg, that'd be one thing. Yeah. So anyway, he's terrible in this way. He's just there to be big and I'm bad.
Yeah.
He plays Romeo.
Okay.
That's his character's name.
Yeah, that's true. I do remember that his name is Romeo.
If you go, this is just funny. If you look at his IMDb,
yes,
all of his characters' names are Battle, Romeo. You know, like they're all just like Meller, Big Sir, TJ, Daddy, Big Bad John. How did we never watch a movie called Kill Speed on the Action Shelf? Yeah, He's in a movie called Kill Speed where he plays a character named Big Bad John.
I mean, it's a matter of time. We would have gotten to it eventually.
Yeah, we would have eventually gotten there. Yeah. But yeah, just all of his characters are just the Pain King. I'm just looking at them. I'm not even looking at the project. I'm just looking at.
Yeah.
He did appear. Oh my God. He did. I didn't know. We got to talk about the music, and this will segue us into that. He did appear in the music video for the Megadeth single from this movie called Crush 'Em.
Great.
Yeah.
Oh, so Megadeth wrote a song for this film.
Yes.
Wow. So this is it's like a Batman Seal kind of scenario.
Yeah. Both Van Damme and Goldberg were in the music video.
Oh, boy.
Which was directed by Len Wiseman, who goes on to be the filmmaker of the Underworld franchise.
Okay.
And also Live Free or Die Hard.
Okay. Gotcha.
And actually, we're talking about...
Oh, that's what I was thinking of. That's the other franchise where every movie was just another film. Die Hard.
Oh, yeah, Die Hard. Every one of those was... Even the first Die Hard was a novel.
Literally all of them.
Yeah, every one of those was based on something. Yeah. Was either a book or something, and then they put John McClane in.
Right.
But that works for that franchise because you have this character and then a scenario for him to deal with.
Yeah, it's not a hyper-specific sci-fi.
No, they were just going like, franchise. Oh yeah, terrorists at the airport. Oh, John McClane could do that.
Right, exactly.
I was listening to, and this is kind of off topic, but I think it's interesting. I've been listening to this podcast called 50 Miles Per Hour, which is a oral history of the movie Speed, one of the great action movies. And that script almost went that direction. Paramount got a hold of that script. They go, this is great. This will be the next Beverly Hills Cop. We'll just put Axel Foley on the bus.
Okay.
Yeah,
gotcha.
That almost happened. Beverly Hills Cop 3 was almost Speed.
Okay.
Isn't that weird to think about?
That is weird.
But I can kind of follow that logic where it's like, here's a scenario, we put Eddie in it.
Yeah.
You know, but this is like, clearly there was, I don't know what this script started as,
Can you imagine if the second Matrix movie was just like a bank heist film. You know what I mean?
They're in the Matrix, but they're just stealing money from a bank. Yeah,
right. Like,
but it's still the Matrix.
Like, there's just they just don't give a fuck about any of the questions being raised by any of the concepts.
But I mean, I gotta say, good on the American public on this one that people did not buy into this.
I mean, as they shouldn't.
This movie was not even hated on; it was just ignored.
And it came out in theaters. This is one of the only 2 films that came out in theaters.
I can't. And this was Van Damme's last theatrical release.
Oh, at all?
I believe that's until Expendables 2.
I was about to say Expendables 2.
Yeah, but this was the last Van Damme movie to get a theatrical.
Sad, really.
It is. Yeah. It's really very sad.
Yeah.
We love the guy. And he had a good run. I mean,
sure.
The ones I grew up on were the major. I mean, when we were kids, he was a box office star.
Yeah.
He was in real movies. We grew up in a time when so was Seagal, which is crazy.
Oh, God, John, you don't have to bring that man up.
God, I'm shocked he did never end up in any of these.
Yeah. I mean, I'm grateful, but
he could have sat down for a whole movie and
hey, don't insult program.
Yeah. So they did this. Yeah, they have this opening training. Then they're going to shut the program down.
Yeah.
And now I guess not for some reason, because it's 1999. I guess is the answer. I don't really understand why, but suddenly Unisol has a super powerful AI.
Yes.
Named Seth.
Yes.
We never got what that stands for.
I think it's just short for Sethaniel.
Because the credits make it an acronym.
Yeah. Oh, they do?
Yeah. In the credits, he's credited as SETH, but they never say Sentient Envoy for
Technological
Hostility. Sentient Envoy for Technological Hostility.
Yeah. That
there
makes
you go.
sense.
Yeah.
There we go.
Sure, why not? Yeah.
Makes about as much sense as anything else in this film.
I mean, why not? Yeah, man. I don't even understand. Understand.
So yeah, what is the advantage to having this then?
They never go into what he does.
Like, what's the point of having AI?
It's also, we immediately clocked it was Michael Jai White's voice.
Well, that is true.
Yeah.
And it also immediately turns evil. There's no build up to that
because it hears the program is being shut down. So it's
Okay.
Oh no, I can't, because then I'll get shut down.
Is that Ice-T right there?
Oh no. I was up for the pot of Seth, but they just couldn't meet my quota. No, dog, there's not enough money. Talk to Michael Jai White. That's the idea, right? Is then
okay,
they're not going to shut. So
there's no build up to that, really, because they happen so quickly.
Here's the thing: everything in this movie, we were talking about. Though it's clumsier then, but it's almost like the classic Chuck Norris movie Invasion USA, where they took out all the expositional parts of the movie and just had the action sequences.
Yes.
This movie feels like they were cutting to the bone.
Yeah, there's no character moments.
The amount of stuff where they're like, oh no, that could be trouble, and then something explodes, you know?
Or shot. Something shot.
It's just, this movie is just lightning fast, but not in a very clumsy manner.
A lot of scenes end with someone getting shot.
Yeah,
it's like we're having a dramatic sort of conversation here, and then bam, shot from the roof.
It almost feels like that's how they wrote it. They were just like, I don't know where this guy's going to go. Yeah, you just could get shot. That's like how I wrote stuff in high school.
Yeah.
Somebody gets shot. I don't fucking know.
I don't know how to end this scene.
You know what's it's the Michael Scott improv thing.
Yeah.
The most exciting thing that can happen
to you.
Yeah. He said he can't show it to me as a gun. But yeah, the most exciting thing that can happen in a movie or TV is someone pulls out a gun. You know, and it's just like at every point there's like bang. All right, let's go. All right, now we're going. Now we've got tension. Now we've got action. So he this further adds to, because we still 4 movies in don't really understand how these Universal Soldiers work.
How they work, why they exist.
Yeah. The AI system is able to convince them to take its orders.
So are they being sent, because are we led to believe that they are being controlled remotely? Was that established in previous movies?
I don't think,
because they are robotic.
But this movie, they make the point of, because there's the scene where they're putting the computer chip in people's brains.
Yeah, the very small.
There's this scene
precisely
of this surgical robot arm that is such a janky piece of shit.
It looked like it was built with like electrical tape.
And the way it's cutting into the tops of people's heads, and then like you pointed out, it's very funny. The arm is like shaking. The robot arm is coming down to insert this chip in the top of a guy's head, but it's like quivering.
As a chip, but it really looks. It's like the size.
It's like a hard drive.
Yeah, it's
right?
but like a '90s hard drive.
Yeah,
like,
and it just so imprecisely just jams this thing in this guy's brain.
Yeah, and again, this is like I don't know how. I mean, it's like the size of a plum.
Yeah,
going into your brain.
The size of a tangerine.
The size of a tangerine.
Yeah, it's we needed Michael Caine in this movie. I mean, you know what? He might have taken this. The man has never been afraid to take movies from him.
I mean, yeah, I would have loved to have seen that.
Yeah,
honestly.
I mean, he would have brought something to this because you can like. Nobody's good in this movie, but like you can tell the difference between like a Xander Berkeley and a Goldberg.
Yes.
Or even a Michael Jai White and a Goldberg, right?
Yes.
You're just like, okay, yeah, the script is still terrible, but this guy has some understanding of how a line should be delivered to play a character.
Every time Goldberg grins in this movie, I'm like, that's not how faces move.
Yeah, you get the set. You can actually see his brain send the impulse to his face.
It looked
smile now.
It looked like a string was attached to the corner of his mouth.
It's the stage hand off screen. There he goes. He couldn't get there on his own.
He didn't know how to smile.
Have you heard Gore Verbinski, who directed the Pirates of the Caribbean movies? Have you heard him talk about having to hold Keith Richards up?
Yeah, he had to be propped up like from off camera. Right?
Yeah, no, yeah. Literally the director was like holding him so he could sit upright and say his lines.
How is that man still alive?
Makes no sense. I think they're I legitimate, not a joke. I think they're actually studying that.
I believe. I remember hearing that.
Yeah. There was a while back. There was a group of scientists that was studying like him and Ozzy Osbourne.
Yes.
And a few people like that who should no, they're literally going like, why are you not dead? The amount of drugs you put in your system should have killed you. What is in your DNA makeup or whatever that that's fascinating.
Perhaps they'll make some sort of super soldier.
They could just do a lot of cocaine.
The ultimate movie producer.
Yeah. So Seth he sixth the Universal Soldiers to take over the Universal Soldier facility.
Yes.
Which also means we're saving money by keeping everything in one location pretty much.
For the most part, yeah.
Which was, I have this somewhere.
One sequence in a hospital.
Yeah, one sequence at a hospital, and of course one sequence at a strip club.
Whoa, you could forget.
Yeah. They filmed this at an abandoned super collider in Texas.
If that's not emblematic of the American dream, I don't know what is.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Somebody heard about that and went, great.
Absolutely. Yeah. Let's get one of those Universal Soldier movies filmed here.
I do like, there's one of the reviews for this movie said, despite all the pyrotechnics, I almost dozed off twice.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, they take over the thing.
Yeah.
Then there's people standing
Mr. Kruger's outside
the whole film.
Yeah.
He's like, what are we going to do about this?
I don't know what we're going to have to do about this. This is crazy. And Luke, they call in. So also, we should mention that this reporter woman comes in.
Okay.
I don't fully understand what she's there to do, but she shows up at the Universal Soldier facility and they just let her and her cameraman into the lab.
That makes sense. That happens all the time, John.
Well, but I think this further adds to this idea about how secretive is Unisol. It doesn't seem that secretive.
No. Nobody knows what it is.
They were happy to let a press person in there.
Absolutely.
And she even says that she's local news.
So it's not even...
Because later she has a line where she's like, oh God, this could go national.
So she has almost no credentials.
No.
That's like if a podcaster today was like, hey,
I'm just going to roll up to Area 51 and go, mind if I poke around?
Hey, I've got a camera.
What do you got in there? You got any alien shit in there? Mind if I take a look? I brought my giant 90s era TV camera.
Yeah.
This guy lugs in this massive camera. No one's stopping him.
No. And people are like, why are you still here? But nobody's removing them.
Yeah, because Because it's only so she's there to have. Honestly, she's just there for Van Damme to have someone to talk to.
Yes.
Like, really, that's the thing.
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
she's like, I don't understand, Jean-Claude Van Damme. Why are they sending you in?
Okay. So we need a audience surrogate, is what you're saying. Okay.
Because that's her thing. She goes, because when she met him when she first came to the thing,
Yes.
and she's like, I don't understand. Why are you here? You're just management. You just manage this facility, or whatever he said. Because I used to be a universal soldier.
Which is the only reference to the first movie.
There's also one brief flashback to his death from the
That's
first
true.
movie.
Yeah, that's true.
Yes, which comes out of nowhere. And it's like a traumatic flashback.
But it serves no purpose.
Yeah.
No narrative.
Because later he does have the line where it's like, I don't know. She says something, and he just responds by going, because I died in 1969.
Remember that song, The Summer of 69?
That was about my death.
John Cougar Mellencamp predicted it.
He heard about how Luke Devereaux was going to die in 1969.
And he wrote a song about it.
Yeah.
I still get royalties.
I mean, I will say, and we said this before, as bad as this is, it is nice to have Van Damme back.
Sure.
As opposed to the fucking block of wood that we had.
Battaglia?
Yeah, Matt Battaglia. That's it. Wow.
Do you know how mad I am? I remember that man's name.
I was trying to remember it, and
I
then
don't
you said
remember
it.
what happened this morning.
But you'll remember Matt Battaglia.
Unfortunately.
Yeah. It'll be the only thing you remember in the old folks' home when you're 90 or whatever. Battaglia! That's who ruined Universal Soldier!
I'm going to be on my deathbed just screaming, Battaglia!
Some reporter, Citizen Kane style, is going to try to understand why you said Battaglia. What did he mean?
Because they don't remember who that is.
Yeah, that was his last words with Battaglia. It was his sled. His sled was called Battaglia. I mean, that, like I said, this is, by every measure, better than the last two.
Yes.
But it's still horrible.
It's still bad.
And it's amazing to see, because I liked the first movie, but I think we were somewhat lukewarm on the podcast about it. But now it's a cinematic masterpiece after watching these three movies.
It is, unfortunately.
Because
that's the action shelf. That's just what happens every time.
Well, because at least the first movie is like an entertaining piece of popcorn. And it doesn't make a ton of sense, but it also like keeps things moving at a general pace. Yes. It gives you enough information to follow the movie from scene to scene.
Yeah, the A to B to C is there.
The acting is generally decent. Yeah. The action is well shot. Yeah. Guys know what they're doing.
Yeah.
Say what you will about Roland Emmerich. The guy knows how to put a sequence together, even if it's
a Roland Emmerich movie is still a big budget film.
It's polished. Like I said, his movies may be dumb, but like, there's a reason he cuts a good trailer. The guy knows how to put together an impressive shot, and has a basic understanding of action pacing.
Yeah.
This is just so. Yeah. So she says the thing. Yeah, she said, and he's like, "I used to be a universal soldier," and then I don't really understand why, because they make this insanely. This is a classic genre movie, monster movie, alien movie, super soldier movie, doesn't matter. Mistake of, we know bullets don't work on these guys.
Yeah.
Let's still shoot them 500 more times.
Yeah, it's the thing of, well, we've seen what happens, but we're not going to learn any lessons. They're not even going to try to do something. They're not going to experiment to see, well, what will work against them.
Well, and because Van Damme tells them, he goes, the only way to kill them is to blow them up.
And yet they literally have grenade launchers attached to their goddamn guns.
He swaps that because they all have M16s.
Yeah.
And then he's like, no. And he swaps them all out for like M4 rifles with grenade launchers.
Yes.
And he's like, we have to blow them up.
And nobody does except for Van Damme.
When they go inside, the guys are still just firing the rifles at them.
And there's not even a thing of Van Damme being like, I told you.
No.
Why aren't you using it?
Because they go... They go into the facility to lay down a bunch of C4. Because that's the main plan, is to blow up the building.
Yeah.
Right?
Like you do.
And then while they're doing that, one of the funniest moments in this movie is somebody looks up and like 3 Universal soldiers on ropes are just descending at them. And they're like, oh no! And for a second I thought, and it kind of is for like the middle section of this movie, they're doing structurally aliens. But they're just people.
So there's nothing scary about it.
No, and I will say, similar to the obvious just stunt guys they cast as these Universal Soldiers are totally blank faced.
Yeah, not giving any sort of performance whatsoever.
No, and I will say this movie might have the most of any film I've ever seen of just people getting shot like 100 times.
Yes,
like just.
Yeah, you're saying this is really good for like the body wiggle.
Shot. Of the just get. There's so much of it because they're just pumping rounds into these guys.
Yes.
And then they just get back up.
And they always have, and everybody always forgets.
Yeah.
They get back up.
And how many times do they do the thing then when they just do the sit straight up, bend at the waist?
Mm-hmm. And they just, unload. And the other thing you brought up is that they're not good at shooting.
No, the Universal Soldiers also just spray rooms.
Yes. Yeah.
And they have these incredibly stupid looking super future guns that and I don't understand why only the Universal Soldiers have them.
Yeah, why wasn't part of the plot stealing those guns so that they could fight back?
Although even when Van Damme starts shooting guys with those guns, they still get back up. That also
doesn't work. Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Well, we also didn't understand what they were because sometimes they were like rapid fire machine guns. Sometimes they were like a shotgun blast, and one time it was clearly a laser.
It was definitely some sort of plasma cannon,
and it made a distinct noise.
Yeah, like a Halo 1 sound effect.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, that's very much what it felt like. Yeah. See, Halo has all those things, but they're just different guns. This is just one gun that does all those things.
Does all those things.
Yeah,
exactly.
Actually, I didn't think about that. Universal Soldier Halo has a lot of Universal Soldier in it, doesn't it?
There's because the Spartan program.
That's what I was thinking of. The Spartan program is not radically dissimilar to you. I mean, and Universal Soldier didn't invent that either. There's a lot of RoboCop in Halo as well. Yeah, Halo's using a lot of sci-fi tropes.
Sure.
It's all better than this.
Sure is.
I'll take any Halo game over this movie.
Absolutely.
They send Van Damme in. Of course, it goes poorly, obviously.
Now, has his daughter already been injured?
Oh, that was in the initial escape. Okay. Sorry, yeah. While the when
How
Seth,
did you forget, John? It's so
sorry. I'm so sorry. When these Universal Soldiers are initially turned evil by Seth.
Yeah.
At some point in that, his daughter is conked in the head.
Yeah.
And so
amnesia bonk, if you will.
The classic amnesia bonk. And the only way to fix that is a bonk on the other side.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Yeah. One bonk is a two bonks, you're back.
Yeah.
Which I think actually does happen to Keanu Tom's character in this movie. But
actually, that is true.
Because her character, Maggie, the Universal Soldier, they completely sideline her by he's like, you just take my daughter to the hospital.
Yeah.
And so she's just at the hospital for the rest of the movie until it's time for the climax.
Until the very end.
Yeah.
Yes.
So the daughter and Keanu Tom's character have just been shoved off screen.
Yes.
And then occasionally Van Damme calls them.
It's almost like they didn't need them in the movie at all.
Our favorite character, or one of our favorite characters, was ER Doctor, who's like, there's horrible swelling in her brain, but we can't do anything about it until her father signs off on it.
That's true.
Which is not a thing.
No.
That makes no sense.
We can't save her life. I'm sorry.
We're going to have to let her die because her dad didn't say it was cool to drill into her brain.
I gotta wipe my nose. I'm so sorry.
No
Just vamp.
Let's see. So that's happening in the off term, and now Van Damme he comes and goes from the Universal Soldier facility, which I think is kind of weird.
Yeah, because he. Wait, when does he go to the strip club? Is that before or after?
I gotta see if there's a plot description.
I think that's after, because he goes to the hospital.
We literally, by the way, just for a note, we literally just watched it.
Yeah.
And we've already forgotten it.
So he goes to the hospital. And it's revealed that
No, for some reason, the strip club is how he finds. We haven't talked about Squid.
Oh, how could we forget Squid?
Because Seth, who's an all-powerful AI, needs the help of a hacker.
I was under the impression that that Squid was involved in sort of altering Seth in a way to make it sentient.
Well, because he talks about later that he provided Seth with a body, because eventually Seth will implant his consciousness in Michael Jai White.
But where did Squid get the Michael Jai White body?
He literally, it's one line where he goes, I put him in a body I had on ice.
What is that? What does that mean? Who is Squid?
Well, Squid is the most 90s and I gotta say, for 99, pretty late on this kind of hacker.
It is.
This feels like this was like the Angelina Jolie movie Hackers, which was like 93 or something like that.
Yes,
like whatever.
But blue spiky hair.
Yeah.
Anime playing in the background, eating cereal.
He's in big baggy pants and a bright colored t-shirt. He's got piercings all over. And he's like, yeah, bro, I'm a hacker.
Yeah.
But the guy's like 40.
He's like 45. He's like, what if Tim Blake Nelson looked a little worse than normal?
This Brent Hinckley is the name of the guy who actually plays Squid in this movie.
Right.
And for some reason, once again, Seth needs Squid for help.
It's not clear.
It's not clear.
But I was under the impression that...
Hold on. I do have a plot description here.
Okay.
Let me see if I can find some of the answers to this.
Please let us know.
Okay, so they do say it's 15 years later.
Okay, so it's 15 years.
He currently works as Luke Devereaux works as a technical expert for the U.S. government. They work to refine and perfect the Unisol program in an effort to make a new, stronger breed of soldiers and more sophisticated. I don't know any of this. Really, none of this sounds. No. Oh my god! According to Wikipedia, has an answer.
Okay.
For what Seth stands for.
Okay.
Once again, I swear they didn't say this in the movie. Self-evolving thought helix.
Yeah, that does not.
Also, that's no dumber than what we came up with.
No, it's not.
What we came up with, I should say, is no dumber than that.
Yeah.
So anyway, let's see here. Luke attempts to find a way to shut down Seth with the help from ambitious reporter Aaron Young. That also didn't register with me at all.
No.
Yeah. So anyway, they say Squid was a former member of the Unisol program.
That doesn't make sense because Luke Devereaux doesn't recognize Squid, or there's no mention of him working.
I don't think so.
No, not that I can remember.
Yeah.
We also don't.
There's not much about. I will say there is not much about Squid in the. Okay, with the help of a. God, whoever wrote this description, I love them for this. With the help of a rogue cyberpunk named Squid, Seth is able to put himself into a body. Even the Wikipedia's like, I don't know. So Squid had the body.
So the only thing that Squid actually did is provide a body.
Which
doesn't make sense if he's a hacker.
I know that.
Why would a hacker have a body?
That makes no sense. I really thought it was insane when he goes, I put him on a body we had on ice. And then he goes on to say, not just a body, the perfect body.
But is it somebody who was alive or was it engineered?
Your guess is as good as mine. Okay. But they make it clear that Michael Jai White's body is better than other Universal soldiers.
For some reason.
That's
the only description as to it being better. It's just them saying it's better. Not how.
No.
Not why.
That's kind of what this whole movie is like, right? It's kind of, the whole movie is just like...
It's 84 minutes of yada, yada, yada.
Yeah, it's just like, it's... he's like a better version of
He's like better.
Yeah.
Like how? I don't know he's better.
Because he doesn't...
Shut up, don't ask.
Even when you see him in action, he doesn't really do anything that anybody else isn't doing.
No, lots of people are getting up from being shot.
Yeah.
Like, what
and
is
like,
different?
when he and Van Damme fight, I guess he's maybe a little stronger.
Than when he's fighting Goldberg? Like, I don't really see
is.
much of a difference between the two.
I also have a lot of questions about Luke Devereaux, because he's not a Universal Soldier anymore.
Yes.
So he is just a mortal man at this point?
I think his life has just started from where
but what I'm saying is he does take damage.
Yes, I think he does now take damage.
Yeah, but they don't really deal with that.
Right, because we don't fully know what causes them to heal themselves. Is it something we
see the green Universal Soldier juice again in this movie.
We do see the mystery juice.
Juice. But we see there's some implications of the cooling system
that not even like referred to. Like if you hadn't seen any of the movies, you wouldn't know.
It's incredible how much this movie just hits the ground, assuming you know all the stuff about Universal Soldiers.
Yeah.
For a sequel this much later.
Yeah.
Incredible to me.
Yeah.
You remember how the Universal Soldiers work? I'm sure people didn't, which is. I guarantee you, a lot of the reason this movie also didn't do well is people were like,
"What is happening?
They made another one of those?"
Yeah.
I just don't. Universal Soldier, while recognizable, isn't like an iconic classic.
No, people just recognize the name. They don't know all the ins and outs of
right.
the universe.
They might know like, oh, that was like a Van Damme sci-fi movie.
Right, yeah.
Once again, I'm sure they'd be like, it's kind of like Terminator or something.
Yeah. It really does feel like low budget Terminator.
Oh, definitely.
God, it's crazy how different. Like those first two Terminator movies, like a Terminator is so scary.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
And there's nothing scary about anybody or anything in this film.
Well, I mean, because the Terminator movies are horror movies. And something, particularly the first one, is so purely a monster movie.
Yes.
And it really goes, well, but, you know, as much as I bag on Cameron for a lot of his stuff, something he is good at is details.
Yeah.
He really has thought this stuff. I would say maybe that's to the detriment now where he's like, Jesus, man.
Yeah, that's all he does.
I know, yeah, but it's like he is a guy who wants to get into like, this is what a Terminator is, this is how it was built, this is how it functions, this is its powers, this is its weaknesses.
Yes.
You know, everything is so clear in those movies.
Yes.
And I will say, even look at that franchise without Cameron, and you see, and there'll definitely be an IP Squad season about the Terminator movies at some point too, because talk about it, that's actually another franchise that screws around with continuity a lot.
Yes.
There's a lot of stuff that has been rewritten, and I mean, the most recent Terminator completely ignores everything but the first two.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense.
Yeah.
You know, those are the two, best.
Yeah, it's actually kind of it's a bigger budget movie, but it's kind of like this, where it's like, oh, we're gonna get Terminator back on track,
right? But then they don't.
It's not good. No, I'm sorry, it's not good. It's not like god awful, but it's just not good.
Yeah, I mean, it's like what you'd say about this film. It's like it could be worse, but
yeah, but it's just better. Well, this thing is just. It feels like the thing that gets me about this is at least something like Terminator: Dark Fate is made by people with like
who love Terminator films.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like some kind of ambition or some kind of passion.
Yeah.
This thing is so shoddily just like, what the fuck?
Yeah, it's slapdash for sure. Yeah.
They're not trying to, like I said, they've dumbed down. Somehow they've dumbed down that already dumb Universal Soldier.
Yeah.
And so at some point they end up at a strip club, which
they are at a strip. What were they doing there?
That's how they get to Squid, I thought.
Oh, Squid. No, Squid wasn't in the strip club.
But they somehow get. Oh, he uses.
Is he broadcasting?
He uses the computer at the strip club.
Squid does?
No, Van Damme
does.
And I guess that's the information. He uses that computer to track Squid.
Here's what I will say about the continuity of this film.
Yeah.
It does track that Squid would be at the strip club.
Yeah. Actually, that
is the only thing that makes
that
sense.
Would simplify the movie a lot if he just found Squid at the strip club.
If he was just there, yeah.
Because there's, number one, no reason for this strip club.
No.
Other than...
We are struggling to remember why he was there.
Boobs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of boobs. Not a lot of exposition. We're used to strip club.
Also, it's an excuse just to have Van Damme beat up these like meathead bouncers.
Yeah. Well, one of which was 65 years old.
That was so funny. He'd already beat up like 3 young, physically fit guys, and then what looked like somebody's dad was like, "I got him. I got him, you guys. He's going down, okay?
Yeah, I'm gonna take him down, and they're gonna go to the margarita factory."
This guy with a mop of gray hair and a big old walrus mustache is like, "I fucking got this, okay? Don't worry. I'm gonna kick his ass."
Yeah, I'm running on island time right now.
I get. It's 5 o'clock somewhere. That's all I know. But
I'm drinking margaritas and margarita.
I guess this was meant to be kind of like that scene in the first movie when he's in the diner and those townsfolk like attack him. Van Damme.
God. But it's a strip club and there's no.
Yeah, it's like, and I think even the other ones might have had these too, where it's like this idea, we gotta have some scene where he just beats up some randos to show how badass he is.
I guess, yeah.
It's really sad because Van Damme, of course, and he throws some good-looking kicks, obviously, in this.
Yeah.
But just the way these scenes are, I have to imagine. We were talking about why are they so choppy. I think some of that is the time period. I think some of it is budget and time, though. I think they just shot it. It's easier to just get that kick, get this, get that.
Do you think they filmed this? Do you think the production time of this film was 82 minutes?
I mean, yeah, we did it live. I mean, it couldn't have been any worse.
Yeah.
No, it's just the movie just anyway. All of this is so while they track Squid, who's then immediately killed by, I will say, a one-handed neck break by Michael Jai White was pretty cool.
That's cool. Yeah. Some.
And then Michael Jai White's ultimate plan is he kidnaps Van Damme's daughter and he's threatening to make her into a Universal Soldier.
But was it because he wanted a daughter?
I think that's
because at the beginning of the film, the daughter is doing something with the AI.
Yeah, they had some. There's the loose idea of what was probably the original script.
Right. Well, it would be more interesting if throughout the film, like if it was revealed later in the film that the AI was evil, and that there was like more of the girl and the AI interacting. Yeah. So there's.
Listen, you're pitching a movie with like drama and shit in it.
I just said because we don't understand the motivations here because nothing was set up. So it's like why does Michael Jai White want the daughter?
I mean, there could have been some kind of.
What if there's a rift between Jean-Claude Van Damme and the daughter?
Yeah.
And so the daughter's like, well, no, this AI has been more of a father to me than.
And there could have been. You could have made the AI villain somewhat sympathetic, like he's having human emotions.
Yes.
And so it's like, look, I want to be alive in some way.
I want to have a daughter. I want to have somebody who loves me.
I'll tell you what's a better movie, though it's not. I would certainly not argue like it's a great movie, but it's certainly a lot more fun that takes the similar premise to this, is Virtuosity with Denzel Washington, which is where Russell Crowe is an evil computer program that comes out of the computer and starts wreaking havoc. It's not like it's a very silly 90s science fiction action movie, but it's a lot more fun. We talked about this movie directly steals the ending of Demolition Man.
That's true. Yeah,
that has a lot more of, once again, fun. This movie isn't very fun.
No,
because that's the thing. If it's not going to be, I think the first movie's more fun. I think that's the big thing we're missing. Is none of these other ones have really captured. Like the first one's pretty stupid, but it's rocking along, it's got a lot of fun. There's the big tanker car on fire and stuff all that stuff really works. I feel like some of that is to do with but it's just like everything. I'm not having fun with Goldberg. No. They've really, because of the circumstances, pulled all charisma out of Michael Jai White, except for some still ekes through. There are moments where I'm like, that's probably actually bad for what this character is, how alive he seems right here.
But maybe that could have been a part of the character arc.
And he would have been able to play that.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, it just, it just...
You know what else this movie reminds me of? Smart House. What came out first?
They would have been close, wouldn't they?
Man, neck and neck.
I mean,
who was the pioneer, John?
Smart House. I'll say this: better movie.
Yeah.
Say what you will. Same year, 99.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Exact same year. In fact, let's see.
Universal Soldier Return. The Return. Smart House. The Matrix.
This literally
1999. Coincidence? I think not.
This came out 2 months after Smart House aired. That is wild. Well, no, I mean, I will say that is the cyberpunk thing was kind of in the air. Right?
Yes, of course.
When was Harsh Realm? Do you remember a TV show called? No one remembers this fucking TV show.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Harsh Realm.
Harsh Realm. That doesn't sound real.
1999. I fucking knew it. It's about people trapped in a like virtual reality game.
Okay.
It was a Chris Carter show. Based off the success of the X-Files, right? Trying something that I did. I like the other Chris Carter shows where it's just like, X-Files really went. He's like, I got other sci-fi ideas, and America went, that's too far for us.
That's fine.
I watched Harsh Realm, but it's just like, you know what? It's cyberpunk. No.
I'm sorry, Chris.
Millennium, which had like weird supernatural apocalyptic bullshit, which I loved, but people were just like, this is too weird. X-Files was just weird enough for people,
Yeah.
I think so. Anyway, so of course this all leads to Van Damme versus Michael Jai White.
Yes, well, you'd think that's what this all leads to.
It seemingly leads to that, but it also introduces this idea that like, we are going to blow up this building in 15 minutes.
Yeah.
That really made us laugh. That for why?
Why? Just blow it up now.
Yeah, because
everyone's in there that you want to blow up. Just blow it up.
The reporter is begging the general not to activate the bombs because Luke is still in there trying to save his daughter. And he's just like, well, we are activating in 15. He doesn't even do the action movie thing of, I'll give him 15 minutes.
Right. No, that was his stance from the beginning. It's like, you're right, John. It should have been, no, we're going to do it now.
Yeah.
And it's like, fine.
Because we've seen that in a ton of movies.
Yes.
That's like, once again, that's like every Bond movie. And
but without that, it's like, well, why wait 15 minutes?
He just goes, well, we're blowing it up in 15 minutes, so I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah. Is it that they're still setting it up, maybe?
No, because we saw them set it up.
Oh, yeah.
They put the bombs
previously in the film. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
And I do like that none of the Universal soldiers thought, maybe we should remove all that C4.
No, that never happened. That never crossed Michael J. White's mind.
No.
The all-powerful supercomputer.
Yeah.
That is Michael J. White.
Yeah, it doesn't fully understand.
So we get Kiana Tom, Maggie the Universal Soldier comes back.
Yes.
And she is evil now.
Yep.
She's been corrupted by Seth.
Yep.
Maggie's been corrupted by Seth. What a sci-fi film. Yeah. And she gets shot but not killed, of course, because that doesn't
Universal
happen.
Soldier, yeah.
Right. And so that leads to a okay fight between Van Damme and Michael J. White. It's like a B- fight.
You know, it's certainly one of the better fights. I think it's the best fight in the film.
Oh, it's the best fight in the film, but for those two guys, for the throwdown between those two,
be way better.
You want more out of it, and it's just, it's not quite there.
Yeah. It's interesting.
That ends with a god-awful death scene.
Ooh,
Number one, for some reason, they have a freezing chamber.
Oh, well, I mean, again, Universal Soldiers
tend
to be healed.
But apparently, if you crank it up too much, it'll just freeze you solid, which is what happens to Michael J. White. And then in one of the shittiest looking CG effects.
Again, same year as The Matrix.
And once again, fucking Demolition Man did the same death.
Like
probably
a decade earlier?
Close to, yeah. I mean, thereabout. And it looked way better because they did it all practically. I mean, they were able to build a prosthetic frozen Wesley Snipes and actually just have the head get knocked off.
Whereas in this case, they're like, just fix it in post.
Yeah, God, it looks like shit. Even the movie kind of knows it looks like shit.
Like, they don't really show it very well.
No, it's right at the edge of frame and it happens fast. Yeah. And then we're like, well, shit, man. And then, nope. Still got to fight Goldberg. And we were both like, we were not waiting for this showdown.
No.
Let this be over.
Yeah, no.
And so then
it should have been the other way around. He should have had to fight Goldberg to get to Seth.
Yes, absolutely. Seth needed to be the boss battle.
Yes. It's just...
Yeah. No, you don't... You don't have... That made no sense.
No.
We're just like, I'm sorry. They thought we were waiting for Goldberg? No way.
Oh my God, John, we forgot to mention all of Goldberg's really good 80-yard lines.
Yeah. Multiple times in the movie, they felt the need to, goose a scene.
Clearly after the fact.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're just like, it's not funny enough, maybe?
I will do these in reverse order because they're funnier the opposite way, but there's a thing where... they're fighting in the hospital. Yeah. Which, by the way, we loved that the hospital just had these huge beefcake orderlies.
Just 6'8", 400.
That come out of nowhere just to have someone for Goldberg to beat up. Yeah. They needed someone big enough to look imposing near Goldberg, I guess.
I guess.
Yeah. And so he kicks their asses. Yeah. And then Van Damme kicks him into an elevator and sends it up. And it's literally, the shot is just the closed doors of the elevator.
I think they stopped the frame. I think So there's
a freeze frame.
There's a freeze frame of the elevator.
And Goldberg kind of quietly, too, I guess because the idea is behind the door, but it's really where he just goes, stay by the bell.
That's true. All of his one-liners are 80-yard after the fact.
Yeah. Well, the other one isn't really one, but it's...
Oh, that's true.
There's this amazing one... I think
it's supposed to be funny, though.
I think it is.
Yeah.
There's one where he gets... Oh, because when Van Damme and the reporter escape from the Universal Soldier facility... at the beginning, during the initial attack, they jump off of the roof into the back of a garbage truck. Classic action movie escape, right?
Just shredded paper.
But
for some reason,
it is really funny that it's entirely shredded paper. Because she does this like, ooh, I don't want to jump into there. I'm like, why? It's paper.
It's just paper.
It's a recycling
it's
truck.
It's very clearly clean, shredded paper.
Yeah, it's just fine, lady.
Yeah.
So they both jump, and then Van Damme gets in the front of the truck and starts to drive it off just as Goldberg jumps off, so he hits the ground. Yeah. But as he's falling, he just goes, "Oh shit!"
Because there's like less than 2 seconds of him falling, and so very clearly they're like, Goldberg, we need you to say, "Oh shit," but it needs to fit this shot.
You know, they did like 80 takes.
Absolutely.
Where it's just like, nope, still,
it's gotta be faster.
Oh shit! Oh shit! Oh shit! You know, just.
Oh shit! No, sorry.
Give me 5 right in a row. You know.
Oh shit! Oh shit!
Yeah.
Oh shit! No, too much personality. You gotta speed it up.
It not only sounds like the actual quality of the sound doesn't sound right.
Yeah.
But the way he says it doesn't sound natural at all.
No.
Because I mean, it's we see a lot of the like, oh shit, when guys are falling in movies. He would start at the top and then, but it's midway down. He says,
right.
Oh shit!
Oh shit!
And it was so clearly added after that.
Also
and why?
Kind of sounds like it's sped up a little bit.
It might. He just didn't nail it, and so they had to
sound like they sped it up.
Yeah, you got to be careful with that because you can hear that. But he didn't need to say anything.
No, he could have just fallen.
Yeah, or even if he did, it could have been
yeah, just a scream.
Oh shit!
Oh shit! Oh shit!
And it is the funniest thing in the movie. I don't think it's meant to be that funny, but oh shit!
They weren't trying to highlight how stupid their own film is. Yeah.
What also, it's really funny for a guy falling off a building, and he says it like, he like bobbled something at work, like oh shit, oh shit. You know, it's just he's falling to the ground.
Yeah.
But he's just like, oh shit, oh shit. It's like you knocked over a cup of coffee, so you go, oh shit. You know, like that's it's very funny to me. That was great. So anyway, he ends up he bests Luke Devereaux in a fight, I guess, because he's a Universal Soldier. Goldberg does. At the end.
Goldberg does what Seth couldn't.
Right. Because Goldberg gets him up. And we saw him do this earlier. He does a Bane backbreaker finisher on him.
Right, yeah.
And so he lifts him up into the air, and he's about to bring him down when Kiana Tom comes in. I guess freed of her mind control?
We're not sure. Well, because again, it did technically, there is precedent because it did happen to Jean-Claude Van Damme.
We never did get a good reason why Luke Devereaux turned good in the first movie.
So we don't know why it happens in this one either.
No.
Yeah.
And so she shoots Goldberg.
Yeah.
And which doesn't kill him, but saves Jean-Claude Van Damme, who he and his daughter run out of there. And she's like, you have to go, Luke. It's too late for me.
Which Jean-Claude Van Damme is evidence that it's not too late for her. But, he's pretty willing to let her die.
He doesn't fucking fight it at all.
Nope. He's like, you know what? Absolutely.
See ya. Okay, great, bye. He's already halfway down the hallway.
Did not even wait for her to say that.
But he cried earlier when Xander Berkeley died, a character we knew not at all.
No. Yeah, there was no... Yeah.
He died. Then he's just like, the woman who actually has been his friend the whole movie. He's like, okay, see ya.
Toodaloo.
Yeah. And then they blow up the building before...
Do they, John?
Well, they shoot fire up into the air directly in front of said building.
I will say this. It does look better than a CGI explosion.
I will say one of the few points of favor in this movie is they're still doing, that's all practical explosions.
Yes.
And they all look pretty good, except for the angle on this one.
You can clearly see the building is still behind.
Yeah, it's clearly, they're shooting fire up in front of the building.
Yes.
Why would you film it like that?
My guess
there were any number of ways to do that.
My guess is that they were actually shooting it from a better angle, but the footage was corrupted. So they're like, well, we can't afford to do it again.
See that.
And one guy's like, oh yeah, I was just filming it for myself up on the ledge over here. And they're like, good enough.
Yeah,
that would be my guess.
They didn't have the money to actually blow up a building or anything, you know.
Yeah.
Because and so they run out of there. And the movie's just kind of over.
Yeah. Well, they do not wait.
This thing was in this movie couldn't wait to be over.
Yeah, we were joking that the 15-minute countdown was just for when the credits were going to show up.
It really was. Yeah. Well, there was one point you went to the bathroom and it was like the third act was starting and the movie had 8 minutes left. Like, Jesus Christ, this thing is going to wrap up fast.
Yeah.
That's including credits.
Yeah,
my
82
God.
minutes does include the credits.
Yeah, it is. This movie is, I mean, that's why it's so slight. It's so nothing. I do want to briefly touch on the soundtrack.
Please.
Because we talked about the amazing new metal. So every song cue in the movie could be the same song as far as I'm concerned. There's a lot of like, ear to rear.
We're not the most nuanced new metal.
No, this was not. This is not what we were listening to by any stretch of the imagination. But I want to just name some of these bands because I will say I do recognize some of the bigger names in them because we mentioned Megadeth, also Megadeth, and I think this is one of the reasons they're apparently Goldberg's walkout music to his WWE matches was Megadeth.
Oh, it's all coming together.
Yeah. But I want to talk about and we know Gwar and Anthrax.
Yes,
these are all known. But I want to talk about some of these other bands I don't know, like the Clay People.
Okay,
everything I'm about to say is very real. I'm not making these up. The Clay People.
Scrotal clasm.
1 minute silence. Scold. Static X. That's Static X.
I have heard of Static
X.
Yeah.
Static X.
I believe they were included in the Buzz Ballads. Anyway, sorry, go ahead.
The last one, there's D-Generation. That's the letter D, Generation.
Yeesh, that's 90s.
Well, wait till the most.
Oh, no.
Jacked. J-A-C-T. Jacked. Jacked, courtesy of Trauma Records. Can you tell it's 1999, everybody?
Yeah, Jesus.
And once again, every one of these songs is like, yeah, I'm gonna rock to the tank
Yeah.
Like it said, every time they start a new song, I'm like, is this different than the last song?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that song at the end was the Megadeth song for the movie.
That makes sense.
I believe that would make sense.
Yeah.
Which, did I say what that was called?
It's called Universal Shit.
Universal Shit. It's called Crush 'em. Crush 'em. Crush 'em. Crush 'em. Crush 'em. Crush 'em. Anyway.
It wasn't called Universal Soldier.
Yeah.
Unisol.
All right. Before we get to the highs and lows, I do want to talk about the box office performance. I said how much it made, Listman, but as we do on the show now,
I made $10 million.
I'm going to pull up the 1999 200 top grossing films of the year.
Is it in the top 200?
Well, yes.
Okay.
It isn't, but I want you to take a guess as to where it places. 1999 so these are worldwide numbers.
Yeah.
Worldwide.
Okay, so
where did Universal Soldier: The Return place from 1 to 200?
178th.
That's a little low.
Oh, okay.
131 though, not that far.
Great. Yeah.
131st.
Yeah.
It just beat out Island of the Sharks. I'm not kidding. That's what the next movie.
Sad. That's so sad.
Yeah, it just beat out Island of the Sharks, but was beat by an episode we did of the action show Wing Commander.
Okay.
Wing Commander outgrossed it. Of course, the top grossing movie of 1999 was Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace.
Obviously, yeah.
Then The Sixth Sense, Toy Story 2, The Matrix, and Disney's Tarzan.
Jesus.
Were the top 5 movies.
What a fucking year, man.
But here's the thing, actually, just looking at this, nothing's even fucking close to Phantom Menace.
No.
924 million, and then Sixth Sense is 672. Yeah. I mean, Phantom Menace was, as much as people malign it, everyone on the planet saw that movie.
Of course, yeah.
It was massive. So, yeah. There you go. That's where that placed. Let's look at some highs and lows. Let's look at what the users of IMDb think about this movie.
Yeah.
We'll start with the low because that's closer to where we are. Here we go. This comes to us from RyeTuber.
Okay.
Who
loves rye bread.
And has a YouTube channel all about it, RyeTuber. This guy titles their review, "This is a very bad action movie." Even from the opening scene, it became clear to me that the decision to watch the sequels of the magnificent first film was my big mistake. I will say, keep going though, buddy. Because not a single scene in the entire film caused me at all any positive emotional impact. It is immediately possible to understand that a boring, ill-conceived plot is being proposed. Van Damme no longer plays the emotionless but very charming cyborg from the first part. Now he just feels like a man. He also abruptly has an already grown-up daughter who does not become a motivator for the future plot, and the plot in turn copies Terminator 2 very poorly. Does it copy Terminator 2?
Not that I'm aware of.
That's interesting, yeah. The action movie does not look interesting. The action of the movie does not look interesting because there's terrible quality shooting everywhere, and because that the already boring and very poorly staged fight sequences look very dull compared to the first film. I will say, once again, I think Emmerich has a better understanding of how to put an action sequence on film.
Yeah.
In total, I can say that everything is absolutely terrible here. The actors, the script, the plot, the shooting. In no case do I recommend watching this as well as the following parts. Ooh, disagree on that, sir, but we'll talk about that next week. Don't repeat my mistakes and watch only the magnificent first movie. I also think he's overstating how magnificent that first movie is. And you don't even think about watching the sequels. 1 out of 10 stars.
I would not describe this as 1 out of 10 personally. I'd say maybe a 3, possibly a 4.
Yeah. Okay. Here we go. All right, let's talk about somebody who really enjoyed it.
It was Goldberg.
Oh no, it's perfect for who would be recommending this. This comes to us from IMDb user Ivo Cobra 8. And this is kind of a longish one, so strap in.
Okay.
I will say immediately, the title, we're off to the races.
Okay.
Underrated science fiction action-packed solid sequel to the Van Damme flick. Universal Soldier: The Return is, in my opinion, the most underrated, bashed, hated, solid sequel flick that I absolutely love and one of my favorite movies in the franchise. After the success of the first film, Universal Soldier, there were 2 TV movies. They talk about, the stuff we watched. Mm-hmm. Anyway, he decided to make a sequel to this movie. I know this movie has flaws because Luke Devereaux is human and he has a daughter. Universal Soldiers can't have a child. Was that established?
Not yet.
That's new. That it has bad acting and so on. I disagree with all the haters. Regeneration and Day of Reckoning are even worse than The Return. So he's saying the next 2 are worse than this one.
Interesting.
Wow, I think everyone, and he's saying that, because they ruined the beloved character. Okay, we don't want to get into that.
Don't ruin it for me. No spoilers.
I don't know why so many people hate this movie with critics and box office failure. In my movie, this is one of my all-time favorites and deserves to be one of the best Van Damme movies ever. I've always had fun with this one. Very fast-paced. I'll give him that. It's not a positive. It is fast-paced.
It is fast. It is,
but
very
that's not
quick.
Always a positive thing. Lots of action, cool fights, good soundtrack. No. And Van Damme acting with a smile on his face. He does smile a lot.
Smile in the film.
I don't think this movie is bad. I feel like this guy is hurting his own point by constantly going like, you guys, I don't think it's bad. It's not bad. It's definitely not bad.
Why is everybody saying how bad it is?
Yeah, I don't think it's bad. I love the original movie to death, and I love this one too. And here you have Van Damme acting with a smile on his face, and he does care, and he has a heart in it. He really loves that Van Damme million-watt smile. I like the new generation of Unisols. I thought they were pretty good. The fights were very fast-paced. This movie really hitting some key points there. You know what I like about how short it was?
Yeah.
This movie had a personality and kept you entertained all the time. This one, I think we would agree with this point only. This one has Michael Jai White in it.
You know what? Can't argue with that fact.
I think that gives us, we're talking about giving it like a 3 out of 10. I think one of those stars is purely for Michael Jai White. He did a solid, perfect acting job as Seth.
Solid and perfect are 2 descriptors that are not often.
He was the soldier, and I'm happy he returned. Oh, right. We talked about it. He was very briefly in the first movie, just as one of the soldiers in the background.
Was he?
Yeah, he's like at the beginning when he's just one of the guys there.
It'd be great if they pointed that out. You know what I mean? Like they're to indicate there was a sort of.
I don't. The thing the movie never. I don't know if he's actually supposed to be that guy from the first movie.
I guess that's true.
Yeah. This one has Bill Goldberg in.
You know what? Another true fact.
Yeah, it's true. This movie isn't the greatest flick ever made. Agreed. Nor is it as good as Universal Soldier for me, but it is still a fun flick regardless, and much better than the horrible direct-to-video sequels, is without doubt 10 times better than the awful sequels that came before it, starring Matt Battaglia, who can't even act, let alone fight. Agreed, sir.
On both.
This film has a badass soundtrack, some badass fights, and get ready to listen. It is a fast-paced, fun movie that was a lot of fun to watch. I like my Universal Soldiers to have Van Damme kicking ass and smite.
He keeps making that point.
Yeah. There are so much. Oh, this is a great.
Okay.
Because this is a great recommendation, and I agree, but it's not saying much. There are much worse Van Damme flicks than Universal Soldier: The Return, and much worse action movies as well.
Yeah.
Agreed, but
yeah, we had a whole show about that.
Hell, half the action movies released in the past few years can't even hold this movie's jock.
What does that mean? Like jock strap?
I think that's the
Is that a
crotch?
phrase?
I guess I don't know. Yeah,
Can't hold its jock.
Can't hold its. I guess the idea being like.
Oh, let me hold your jock for you, sir.
I think that's it exactly.
Okay.
I think it's meant to be like this isn't even the equipment manager to the MVP. You know.
Okay.
I think that's what that guy's saying. I don't know. I don't speak.
Whatever.
I don't speak alpha male. Yeah, I would much rather watch this fun, fast-paced sequel than Terminator Genesis or any reboot movie of the week. If anything, this is underrated. By the way, Terminator Genesis was. I referenced Dark Fate. Terminator Genesis was the attempt to reboot the Terminator franchise before that.
Yes.
Where Genesis was spelled weird.
Yes, I remember that.
Yeah.
There's a Y in there for some reason.
No, it's a stupid movie.
Yeah.
That one's worse even. If anything, this is underrated and not worth the overwhelming amount of pure crap the film has gotten over the years. It isn't Shakespeare, folks.
Stop.
Hell, the first movie wasn't either. It was just as silly at points and over the top as this. I wish more movies were like this one day, especially from Van Damme.
Is this fast-paced one more time, John?
Honestly, in my opinion, I do care a lot about Van Damme. He is my idol.
Oh, we got that. Oh, we're getting that.
Happy. He did make a sequel to the original movie. The rating this, I am giving to this underrated sequel. Yeah, I am probably the only person who likes this movie 10 out of 10.
Well, I'm glad he recognizes his own shortcomings.
Jesus Christ. By the way, like I said, I couldn't disagree. I know, just reading that, I know what he doesn't like. He doesn't like that they get serious now.
Yeah,
right?
He likes the stupid silliness.
Right, he doesn't like that these are going to get dark and intense and scary and gory. And
John, I'm worried. I'm worried now.
You're concerned that these are
what if I don't like them?
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm
like this guy has brought up so many valid points.
Maybe it's not as fast paced.
It's a fast paced film.
The next movie might not be fast paced.
Yeah, and how much does Jean-Claude Van Damme smile in it?
I don't think he smiles a lot. My memory of which is next week's movie, Universal Soldier Regeneration.
Okay.
It's pretty grim.
Okay.
It's a very serious dark. I will say similar to.
That's crazy because war is hilarious.
I know. Yeah. No. And that's the thing. It definitely feels like a war movie in that sense. We do have
a horror film, a horror war film.
Yeah, I would say we get more into horror elements in the next one, and then the last one has a lot more in that realm. Right. We also get the same director for these next two. John Hyams ends up being the sort of main filmmaker behind these, and his father, Peter Hyams, directed a number of Van Damme movies.
Oh, okay.
So yeah,
in the family.
Yeah. He also directed Enemies Closer. Which one was this?
That sounds familiar.
Oh, we did this in the action. That's the one where Van Damme's the bad guy in the woods.
Oh,
we liked that one.
I think it was a pretty subpar film, but we loved Van Damme in it.
We loved Van Damme
as a villain.
Yeah,
he needs to play more villains.
He's great because he's also the bad guy in Expendables 2, and he's fucking great in that too. Yeah. When he kicks that knife
into somebody's
Liam Hemsworth, he has Scott Adkins hold a knife out so he can kick it into a guy. That's why you go to an Expendables movie for that. So as always, though, I'll leave you with the tagline for next week's movie. Listen, Reanimated, rearmed, the ultimate rematch. Van Damme, Lundgren, Universal Soldier Regeneration. That's right, because we get both of them back. And Andre the Pitbull Arlovsky.
Okay. Who the fuck is that?
I believe he's
Mr. Worldwide?
I believe he's a MMA fighter.
In this?
He's a big time MMA fighter. or UFC fighter. Okay. So a guy with real martial arts skills is the key.
And you said Scott Adkins was going to be in it?
He's in the last one after. Yeah.
Okay.
He's in Day of Reckoning.
Okay.
This is Regeneration. But we do get at the very least, if not his acting skills, an actual professional martial artist.
Yeah, that's something.
And I think most people would say a huge step up. I guess not so much for Ivo Cobra, but they can't all be winners. Listman, of course, we want to remind people they should check us out over on the Patreon page, patreon.com/punchupent. That's punchupent. There we'll be doing an exclusive episode about the other Van Damme Lundgren team up, Blackwater. You can get that only on the Patreon feed, which is their only other pairing outside of the Universal Soldier franchise. And I don't know if they're actually ever on screen together in Expendables 2. They're both in it.
They are both in it, but yeah, I think you're right.
But that's the other team up of them is Blackwater.
Okay.
So we'll be talking about that over on IP Squad related cases, and you can get cool exclusive bonus content there. Of course, you can hear Listman every week on the Punch Up Entertainment Network over on Material Components.
Hey.
So go check that out. Make sure you subscribe there, and make sure you subscribe to our YouTube page, youtube.com/@punchup and Punch Up Entertainment. That's @/@punchupentertainment. Make sure you subscribe. That's a great way to do that. We're gonna have some more exciting stuff coming on there soon as well that we'll be announcing. But that's gonna do it. I think until next week, the case file is closed.